All right, parents, let's dig in and talk about one of my favorite topics possible, even though as a dude, it's a little bit of an interesting topic for me to talk about because we're going to talk about infant or baby development, pregnancy, prenatal period, stress, and then we're going to have this conversation around a really fascinating, life-changing, literally, as you'll see, technology called HRV or heart rate variability. Now, as we kick this sucker off, I got to tell you this is absolutely an area of expertise for me clinically as a doctor, and then the best job I could do during our 4 pregnancies as a dad to support and keep stress away from my beautiful, incredible wife, who obviously was much more for us, our 4 babies are here, in charge of this scenario for our family. But I love this conversation, and I love supporting and empowering moms in this conversation as much as I can, and I love taking my angle at it. Not really necessarily with this video am I going to speak to the dad part of this. I'm going to speak to the neurological, nerdy part of this. See, as a nervous system focused pediatric, prenatal, and family chiropractor, I've spent 16 years studying the neurology of development in kids, which begins literally from the first moments of conception on in utero during pregnancy, and what the effects of these things like stress during pregnancy have for our kids' health later on. And I've studied that not only, head down and full deep dive as a doctor, but as a dad as well. 2 weeks before I graduated chiropractic school and got to work being a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor, I became a dad. And so I just want you to know as we go along this video, we're going to get really nerdy, but I also promise you this, we'll get real empowering and we'll get real with it. And I'll do as best as I can to share the dad and the parent perspective as well. And make sure that moms, you rock stars who are in this part of your life right now, this exciting part of life called pregnancy and the prenatal journey, or you're going to be and want to be again here soon, then know this, we are really having this conversation around stress and how it affects your nervous system and your health and the development of your baby, so that it can be a forward-looking, empowering conversation as well. So as we dive in and as we get into the thick of it, and we really understand what stress and anxiety and these things can do to the health of ourselves and our baby, just know this, we're going to get to the end of this video and we're going to make sure there are effective, drug-free, stress-beating action steps for you to have as we go, because truth is, this is the most exciting time ever. But the truth also is that it's the most stressful world we've ever lived in. We all are just really running this rat race, as they say it, right? So right now, as you go to start your family, or you're in the thick of it already, you may be juggling 17 other things all at once. Maybe you're still going through school. Maybe it's a job that is full throttle and full speed. It's just there's already other kiddos, right, that are already here in life, and you're keeping up with them as well. I could give you a list of 170 or more things to say, hey, this could technically be categorized as a stressful thing. But then within that, the other reality is inside the traditional medical system, when we look at fetal or baby or infant development, and fetal is the word they talk about, within the research, there's a ton of research that shows stress is really a not good thing to have during this stage of life, but there's no support for that on the traditional medical side. In fact, it tends to be the opposite. It's often as if we diagnose moms as pregnant, and then we put all of this pressure and all of this stress and all of this anxiety on them as they go through the pregnancy journey. And so what we want to do, and what we were able to do with our family, is really take, others would say the alternative approach. I despise the word alternative. This should be the primary approach. And, medical interventions and medications and high stress situations, those are the last choice alternative. And maybe for you and your health, something to do with your body and your system, maybe it is something that you need a more medical monitoring and more of a high risk situation. Well, if that's the case, my last little kind of granular part of this introduction is, well, then this conversation, how to take care of the regulation and the balance or homeostasis, if you will, of your nervous system, mama, is so important for you to have as healthy of a pregnancy as can be. And it's really, I don't even know if you could say 10x or 100x, exponentially as important for your developing, soon-to-be-born baby as well, because we know there's lasting effects of stress during this prenatal period and this infant developmental period in utero. And so we want to go right into that conversation and give you an understanding of what it is, and then give you action steps as to how to best manage and mitigate that stress throughout the pregnancy journey. So again, like I said, we're going to get nerdy, we're going to get practical. And just for a second before we do, I'll get personal. So the coolest thing about this is our first baby, Addison, is, again, like I said, I've been a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor for 16 years, and she's 16 years old. So if I ever forget how long I've been in practice, it's pretty easy to just look at that beautiful, I still call her baby girl, and say, okay, that's how long it is. And it was a really stressful time. I was finishing up chiropractic school. I was going from living in the city where we did to moving back to my wife's hometown so I could find a really busy, really active kind of internship residency sort of thing where I was just going full speed. You're still taking board exams. And oh, by the way, we chose to buy a building and start up our own practice. And both my wife was very involved, then and still today. She's just, my bestie and my partner in everything we do within the practice as well. So I could go on, but the point of this, it was busy. It was a stressful time by most measurements to that. And we knew that. We were aware of that. And so what we did is we went head on at that. And we know that health is honestly, in this neurologically based health conversation and stress conversation, it's a math equation. And so if we knew we were up against more stress, we always have lived healthy and lived natural. And we wanted to have, it was super important for Christina to have a natural non-intervention birth. That was the plan. And for Addison, that plan worked out. And the reason that plan worked out so well for us is one word I can share with you. And that's what this video and the article we're going to link to it and the technology we're going to tell you all about is all about: preparation, adaptability, and preparing not just your body physically, not just your body nutritionally, but also to prepare your body neurologically to have the best outcome possible for the pregnancy, for labor and delivery, for your postpartum stage. Some would call that the fourth trimester, because the better your nervous system is going in, yes, the best chances of natural health, labor and delivery, and not needing intervention, but also the good continues. The better your nervous system, the more resilient, the more wonderful your HRV, the technology I'll show you in a second, is going into labor and delivery, the more your nervous system, your energy, your mojo is the goofy word I always call it. We're talking about nervous systems with anybody. The more that can bounce back and be at its best for your health, baby bonding, nursing, breastfeeding, all those things. But the conversation continues. It's so essential for you, mom, to be able to keep your stress low. Yeah, but really what we're talking about is to keep your resilience high. And I'm going to say that probably a couple of times before we even get all the way done, because that's the conversation. If we even look at our first, and then other ones, all the other babies were born after we had a practice baby. So, because if you run your own practice and do all that, or run your own business, sometimes, it's kind of like another kid or 9. And so the truth is, stress was never not going to be a part of our life. So what we needed to do is to take a different approach and it's like an illness. Germs are everywhere. The germ theory is bogus. We can't hide from them. We need to become resilient and adaptable to them. That's this conversation as well for your health and for baby's health. And so what I really want to break down is how important the nervous system is. And so we're going to add a little descriptive and a certain nerve into this conversation. So the autonomic nervous system and something called the vagus nerve, VAGUS, is the part of the nervous system that develops first in utero. So the autonomic central nervous system, if we just say nervous system, period, we're talking about that. But then the vagus nerve is the nerve that is in charge of growth, development, digestion. And it's an incredible part of what's called the parasympathetic system. And as a baby develops this autonomic nervous system, it really needs a calm and regulated environment so that the baby's nervous system can develop on track on time. And so what we know in today's world is that the vagus nerve and the autonomic nervous system regulate not just your blood pressure, not just your stress versus anxiety, not just your digestive function and endocrine and hormonal function, but it's going to do that for baby as well. And the really cool, really simple thing is that umbilical cord that now in today's world, we know, hey, do not put cigarette smoke in because it's going to get to baby. Do not put alcohol. Do not put toxins. You know, this is the time of life where we really clean up our diet and we really clean up our environment because we know that through the bloodstream, those toxins, so chemical stress, could get in from mom to baby. And we're in a world where we don't even put, BPA in our water bottle, right? So the truth is that's awesome. And that's a good plan of attack. The other thing is there's tons of programs out there to get us fit, to get us active. One of the best programs in the world. In fact, the person who should be doing this video is one of my besties in the world, Dr. Lindsay Matthews-Cantu of the Birth Fit world. And they talk about nourishment and they talk about movement. And now, really, actually, I'm doing it in the wrong order. Dr. Lindsay is actually a nervous system focused prenatal chiropractor. So the foundation of the Birth Fit program, which is done in partnership with us through the Pediatric Experience and pxdocs, is nervous system regulation, and really, I don't really love the word managing, but taking care of our pregnancy, of our baby as well through this technology called heart rate variability. And so that umbilical cord is the power cord or the electrical plug-in and connection from mama's nervous system to baby's nervous system. And what happens in today's world all too often and all too much is there's all too much stress, anxiety, tension, and exhaustion on mom's nervous system on the journey to get pregnant and on the journey of pregnancy. And so for Christina and I, and so for many families we take care of at our practice, we do all that we can to actually work on nervous system regulation and health during the pre-conception stage. So I hope we're really finding this video for your future baby before conception has even happened. And we'll just, for the sake of, keeping this video, G-rated here, we won't talk about how that happens, okay? Just having a little fun in a serious but awesome conversation. And so the more we can get a mom's nervous system regulated, balanced, and in its most resilient and adaptable state before conception even happens, well, that's such greater outcomes for her and for baby. But even if you're getting this video, someone sent it to you, or you found it, we found you through all the things, because we love supporting this part of life the most, because you can make your biggest impact and create the biggest health outcomes the earlier you get started with nervous system regulation, which is our whole mission and our whole vision. So if we found you during that, here's what's awesome. Your pregnancy period is also a very adaptable and pliable period. So a lot of stress, once it gets trapped in the body, guess where it gets trapped? Neck, shoulders, low back, and pelvis. Most women really carry their stress in those 2 to 3 regions. And when a trained and experienced, you really want to go to a unique specialized chiropractor in this, when a trained and specialized prenatal chiropractor steps in and makes adjustments to relieve that stress, well, now that power cord, that umbilical cord connection, that release of stress and that stimulation of the vagus nerve through mom goes to baby too. So this is an awesome conversation as we kind of turn the corner and get this one towards the fourth quarter, is yes, we can have the conversation about stress and anxiety and tension and how it comes through mom's nervous system and goes to baby's nervous system and isn't good for the pregnancy or for their outcomes later on. But we can also talk about what empowerment and adjustments and awesome adaptability, resiliency building, behaviors and habits and actions that can be put in play during preconception, pregnancy, and carried on postpartum and for baby, how that good stuff can go in through mom's nervous system to baby as well. And so that's what we know. If there's too much stress during pregnancy, so mom is physically tense all the time, there's going to be higher amounts of cortisol, there's going to be higher amounts of adrenaline, and it's just going to start this whole neurophysiological cascade of stress on mom that is going to end up on baby as well. And it begins what we call the perfect storm, where then perhaps labor and intervention is needed during labor and delivery, which creates physical injury through like forceps and vacuum and emergency C-section. Those are very physically traumatic to a baby's head and neck, which is where the vagus nerve, which we've been having this 15-minute conversation all about, comes from as well. So let's send you into empowerment and action with this. How do we do something about it? This conversation is only helpful if we give you drug-free, effective actions that you can take. And the first most important action I'm going to put on the screen is to get one of these, what's called a heart rate variability exam. Now, maybe right now as you're watching this video, you're wearing an Apple Watch or a Garmin or a Whoop or an Oura ring. In fact, Oura is an incredible company we really love, and they very much are having this conversation about preconception, prenatal, postpartum, HRV, resiliency, nervous system health. The vagus nerve, nervous system regulation is literally awesomely, finally, when you do the work that we do, the hottest thing on the market. So no, you don't need to cold plunge during your pregnancy, or should you? No, you don't need to go into the sauna, because you shouldn't, right? There's these different things that are out there, but the truth of the matter is nervous system regulation is the most important thing, and it starts with HRV. And one of the best things you can do is to get into a prenatal chiropractor and get it adjusted, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at an incredible family here that started care with us. And so for Alex's mom, this was her scan up top at first. So when she began this preconception journey, she began with us, and she knew her nervous system was stressed. She knew that for years she had been stressed and anxious and exhausted. And so what you see here is on the left side is the sympathetic nervous system. So this little white dot is where her HRV plots, meaning her nervous system was stuck in sympathetic dominance, meaning the vagus nerve and parasympathetic system was shut down. And then the activity index, you can see that she's really low. So the activity index being only a 62, that means it's worn out. And then the balance index being a 59 means that, or sorry, the balance index meaning shifted to the sympathetics, and the balance is out of whack because the nervous system is exhausted as well. And then as we go through pregnancy, she ended up right here as time went on, as that resiliency builds up. Just a few weeks and a few months later after getting adjusted, you can see that white dot make its way towards the green. And green is good. Green is resilient. Green is adaptable. And here's the final thing I want you to know. There's a difference between supporting your nervous system, moms, and healing your nervous system. And so for most of us, our nervous systems have been stressed, out of balance, dysregulated, and depleted for years. And so it is awesome to go for a walk into the woods. It is awesome to take a class. We're old enough, we took what's called Bradley birthing classes, right? So you could take the Christian hypnobirthing class. You could take all of these, you could go to yoga and you could move your body and you could get that support. And movement is awesome for HRV and nervous system regulation. And walking in nature is awesome. And meditating and praying and preparing is awesome. But it may not be potent enough to reset your parasympathetic nervous system and your vagus nerve. What we find time and time again is moms are coming into our practice with fertility challenges or with pregnancy-related challenges, and they're doing all the right things to support their nervous system, but they actually need nervous system healing. Nervous system focused chiropractic care is the most potent way to address, activate, and stimulate the vagus nerve and rebalance or regulate the autonomic and central nervous system. We see it through the technology, just like there on Alex's scans. All of our pregnancies with Christina, we used not just chiropractic adjustments, but we used this HRV and scanning technology to make sure Christina's nervous system was in balance and stayed in balance. And so more so than using, blood pressure, which is governed by the autonomic nervous system and the vagus nerve, or other sort of measurements or symptoms like medicine does, waiting for the bad to happen and then trying to stuff it back down, we proactively, in an empowering, adjusting, incredible way, we take care of mama's nervous system from preconception, if that's where we found you with this video, to pregnancy and postpartum. And what we've been saying all along is the very last thing I'll say, by taking care of mom's nervous system and making sure it gets recharged, it gets repaired, restored, regulated, and then stays there in that adaptable, resilient state, we're making sure that baby's nervous system develops. We're making sure that baby's nervous system, vagus nerve, parasympathetic system is online. And that HRV test is the most important thing I want you to hear out of this video. It's the most important thing I want you to get into your nervous system focused chiropractor's office. We'll provide some links to make that easy. Find out where your nervous system is. Is it stressed and exhausted, or is it resilient and adaptable? And if it's the former and you need to get it to the latter, guess what? You'll get a personalized, customized care plan, either from the docs in our office if you're local to us, or through the pxdocs network, because this is the work of nervous system focused prenatal chiropractors. The reason I wanted to have a long conversation, this is a TED Talk, if you will, on nervous system regulation for mom, pregnancy, preconception, but really for baby as well. And I wanted to get personal with it and share our experience and how great it worked out for us to do this, even though it was a wildly busy time of life. You can't change a lot of things in life when it comes to what's stressing us out, but you can change what's happening on the inside with your nervous system and baby's nervous system. And it's incredible because you not only get adjusted when you go to your prenatal chiropractor, but I promise you this too. You're going to get empowered, you're going to get informed, and you're going to get supported and taken care of like family. We build a community around our families. We build a family around our families and our expecting moms and dads and babies. And it's a wonderful time that we celebrate and support. And when nervous system healing needs to happen, well, we start right there. So any more information you need, click the link, check out the article that comes along with this video. There's some phenomenal information on our website all about HRV, preconception, pregnancy, prenatal stress, infant development, all the things, vagus nerve, and then also any question at all you have that we can help with. Send us a DM, put a comment below. We've got you. You've got this. Make nervous system regulation and getting your HRV the first action step you take from this video. Can't wait to hear your beautiful pregnancy story, birth story, and see pictures of your baby smiling, happy, thriving, adaptable as can be. God bless. Be well. We'll see you on the next one.